class, we were doing grammar, adverbs, and in that section, last time we finished off with adverb of frequency as the network issues were there. So we had to stop the class. We'll continue with adverbs of frequency. Now, adverbs of frequency are normally placed after the verb be. That is, was, those words are called the being words, and before the other words in a simple tense. So, like in a simple tense, they always speak the truth. Now, speak is a simple tense. So, it is placed before that. Always. When? Always. So, frequency of this adverb is always. Adverbs of frequency, they answer the question how often a thing happens. Accordingly, it is answered. It never happened. It always happened. It sometimes happens. So the frequency tells you the number of times a thing happened. Moving further, we now have the B section. In the continuous and perfect tenses or with modals, these adverbs are used after the auxiliaries. Now, he can never deceive you. Now, deceive is the word and it is placed before it. Now, I have always helped her. How often? Always. She's frequently meeting me these days. How often? Frequently. Now, coming to adverbs of degree. Now, adverb of degree tells you how much. Now, adverb of degree are placed before the adjective and the adverb. They modify. So, you look for an adjective, you look for an adverb, and you will find them before that. Now, see here, this first example, the situation is entirely different now. So here, the degree is entirely. He is only 5. So, the degree is only. The question is rather difficult. What kind? Rather. Now, enough follows adjective or adverb. Now, the word enough, when the degree is how much? Enough. So whenever the word enough is used as an adverb of degree, it is always placed after the adjective it is following. Now the room is big enough. So here the big word telling you about the room size. It is describing room. And big enough means adequate. So adverb of degree would be enough and it is placed after the adjective. Now, see the second one, she spoke clearly enough. Now here, spoke is a verb, clearly is telling you something about that adverb, and enough is also telling you the degree of this adverb. So basically, enough is the word which is always placed after the adjective or adverb in an adverb of degree. Now B section, when an adverb of degree modifies a verb, it is placed before the main verb. Whichever is the main verb in a sentence, it is always placed before it. He almost slipped. Now, slipped is the word, and almost is something telling you about the degree. She has just left. They hardly know me. Even only is placed next to the word it is related to. For example, I have only 10 rupees. Now, not more than 10 rupees I have. Yeah, so it is the only has a clause that it is placed just next to the word where it is related to. He only smiled. Okay, then he smiled at me only. She is only a bit shy. So these are the placements of degrees in a sentence. Now moving on to order of adverbs. Order of adverbs. The usual order of placing adverbs is adverb of manner, adverb of place, adverb of time. Now in a sentence, it's not that just only one verb comes. Many verbs are used in a sentence. Maybe like if we talk, he walked slowly along the road in the morning. Now here, the placement would be, first we'll talk of the manner. That in what manner? So he walked slowly. Clear? In what manner? He walked slowly. Then place. Where did he walk? Along the road. And then time was in the morning. So anytime when we phrase a sentence, this is a key word. We first in a sentence write the manner, then the place, then the time. This is the correct order. Clear? Though we keep on saying like in the morning, he walked slowly along the road. And this in the morning is the time first that you have mentioned. But then the correct order is he walked slowly along the road in the morning. Why? Because it follows the simple sequence of adverb of manner being placed first, then adverb of place, and then of time. Now, yesterday we had picked up a few exercises, and if you can see, I've written also on top MPT. MPT means manner, place, and time, and accordingly we have adjusted these words which were necessary. I told you to do a certain exercises, certain numbers of the sentences were given to you, so you will do them. Now we come on to the next heading as degrees of comparison of adverbs. Now this we have done in adjectives also. Degrees simply means when we are talking of a particular verb being used either as a simple sentence in a positive degree, if it is making comparison between two things or objects or persons, then it is a comparative degree. And supposing we are just highlighting that it is the ultimate, then it is called a superlative degree. Now we'll take up the first example to make it clear. Positive degree, he ran as fast as I. Now here, the boy or a person is running as fast as I am running. So here the word as fast as has been used. So the basic verb fast is kept in a positive sentence. The verb is used in a positive manner, fast, the basic word. Then comparison, the same fast has turned into faster than. And then in the superlative degree, it has turned into the word fastest. Now, if you notice in the comparative degree, he ran faster than I. Now here, faster than. The word than symbolizes the comparison. In the superlative degree, the word the symbolizes the superlative degree. And in this sentence, he ran the fastest of all. The is optional with superlative adverbs. And superlative adverbs, you can or you cannot, you need not write the. But in adjectives, you most of the time write the to show the superlative degree. Then there are words which are used as more, most, less, least. So these are the words which are given in this box. You will see some adverbs, just like adjectives, have also have comparative and superlative forms. These are generally adverbs of manner, adverb of degree, and time. Fortunately, the degrees of comparisons are much easier to construct. Why? Because you just have to write more intelligently, less intelligently, most intelligently, least intelligently. Yeah? So Coming to the next one, more beautifully, less beautifully, most beautifully, least beautifully, more curiously, less curiously, most curiously, least curiously. So here more and less, most and least are used. Now more and less, they are the comparative forms, and most and least are the superlative forms. So let's come on to the next chapter. By adding the suffixes er and es to the positive word, as I told you, fast will be faster and then fastest. So er is used in faster and est is used in est is used in the fastest. Then they've given you certain other words like near, nearer, nearest, loud, louder, loudest, etc. Note: do not confuse the adverb near and hard with the similar looking adverbs nearly and hardly. For example, he drove to or quite near is very different from he nearly drove. That means in one it is talking about near, the place is quite near. Whereas he nearly drove is telling you that he hardly drove. Yeah? Moving further, from these examples, you can see that nearly means almost, while hardly means seldom or almost never. So these words are good enough for you to see the comparisons. Now move on to the exercises, children. C and D. Before that, just see the upper jotter they have given you here. By irregular constructions. Read the table below to understand some irregular constructions and comparison of comparative and superlative. Now see, if a word like well is given, the comparison we know is always better and superlative is best. Then badly is worse and worse. Little is less and least. Then much and many, more and most. Then far, further and farthest. So you know that there are certain words which have very irregular comparisons, and these by now you know it also. Like good, better, best, you know it. Well, better, best, you know it. Little, less, least, all these words you have been using. Now coming to the exercise, put a tick mark on the ones you'll do. You'll do the fourth one. You'll do the sixth one. You'll do the eighth one and the 10th one. I repeat 4, 6, 8 and 10. Now let's quickly do these exercises. Fill in the blanks with the appropriate forms of adverbs in each bracket. Don't forget to use articles where necessary. These children are so badly behaved. The word is badly. You think they are bad? The ones in my class have behaved worse. Number 3, they hiked longer than they had expected to. Number 4, the doll is the most prettily dressed one in the whole store. Ignorant people are always the ones who speak the loudest. You see the is added here, so keep adding the articles. Next, today's actors are more artistically inclined than those of the yesteryears. Artistically, more artistically. Number 7, she swam further away from the shore. Number 8, lost in thought, he went back the farthest in time. Number 9, the police are inquiring further into the matter. Number 10, let's see who can throw the shot put the farthest. So out of these 4, 6, 8, 10, you'll do in your copy. Coming to the D exercise, now here that you have to look for an error. You have to mend it and correct it, make it into an adverb. Now you are supposed to do it on the blank side which is given to you, but I have added and done here only. This you'll do in the book only. It was a cold night and the wind was blowing furiously. And in the second sentence, very bending the trees whose leaves were rustling softly against the window pane in my room. In the second line, softly. Third line, nervously I glanced towards the window. Now, in the third one, it is not nervous, it is nervously. Half expecting to see a ghost outside. Outside. Fourth, fourth correction is outside. Instead, there was a flapping on the door, and I nearly, in the fifth sentence, nearly jumped out of my skin at the sound. Usually, I'm not the kind to be scared easily. So the word is usually. Usually. And the last, but that night I was strangely frightened. With this, we come to an end of the adverb. In your copies, you all know what you're supposed to do. You're just supposed to write the different kinds of adverbs given on the first page of the beginning, and then you do the B exercise, as I told you. Then you will do come to the C exercise, and you do 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you're supposed to ask now.
Ma'am,
Yes. First,
can you
tell me
please
one.
repeat can you please repeat exercise C seventh question?
Okay. She swam further. Further.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. 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 Anyone else?